So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President of ELRA, buenos dias todos. My name is Sally Osborn and I'm the Vice President of the Notary Society of England and Wales. Not Scotland, England and Wales. It is a great pleasure for me to be here with you today in the beautiful city of Barcelona and the lovely conference facilities of the Registrars of Catalonia. I should like to thank ELRA and in particular Wim Newman, the father of CROBECO, for inviting me to speak to you. It's good to be here with my European family and to be part of an imaginative and innovative programme to assist our European citizens, of whom we are all one, in exercising freedoms under the Treaty of Rome. Speaking of Rome, as we say in the UK, Rome was not built in a day, but we're not in Rome, we're in Spain, and Spain has much to teach all of us about electronic registration and conveyancing. Andrew Johnson, my colleague, who is the Deputy Vice President of the Notary Society of England and Wales, who is a Spanish speaker and who is likely in the future to become one of the specialised Spanish CROBECO conveyancers, he and I were fortunate to attend a lecture recently in London on e-apostilles and notaries, with a presentation of the very impressive implementation of the e-apostille in Spain by Gemma del Rey Almanza from the Spanish Ministry of Justice. Christophe Bernasconi, the Secretary General of the Hague Conference on Private International Law, who also spoke, described the Spanish scheme as the most sophisticated scheme in existence. So, as I have said, we are in Spain, not Rome, and we should like to do what our Spanish colleagues do. But before I speak of the future, I need to look at the past and the present. The UK government has a digital by default programme, and this means digital services that are so straightforward and convenient that all those who can use them, i.e. the public, will choose to use them. The government digital strategy of December 2013 confirmed this was the aim, and Francis Moore, the Minister for the Cabinet Office, in his foreword said, "The UK government has got to do better." By going digital by default, the government could save, it is estimated, and we've heard lots about cost-benefits analysis, could save between about £1.7 billion sterling. Of course, we in the UK still have sterling. We are not part of the euro. However, he made a very important point. Saving money is important, but it isn't just about saving money, going digital, using electronic format. It is about having access to services quickly, conveniently, and which are secure. The other issue is that when these schemes are developed, they must be developed with the needs of the European citizen put first, not those of the government or the platform seeking to develop them. It must be the European citizen who is at the heart of these programs. So, how does digital by default program fit in with registration of land and the conveyancing process? In our country, in England and Wales, as I'm sure you've all heard before, the Electronic Communications Act came into force in the year 2000, and it does allow contracts to be concluded by electronic means. These are also admissible in legal proceedings, and anyone who wants to know more can look in particular at Section 7, and you will be able to find this online. How do the courts view electronic matters? The courts in England and Wales are willing to show a practical approach and embrace modern technology. In the recent case of Golden Ocean Group Limited, the Salvo Car mining industries, the courts upheld the use of electronic signatures to satisfy requirements for a document to be in writing or signed. And the need for a document to be in writing or signed goes way back in English law. It's the Statute of Frauds, I think it's 1677. The court ruled that on the facts of this particular case, the parties intended to be bound by terms agreed in emails, and in particular, it was noted that the emails were not marked subject to contract. And those of you who know something about English law know that subject to contract means there is no intention to be bound. And so the courts held that this electronic format, the document was executed and was binding. Now, I wasn't going to get into too much politics, but it's just irresistible when you're here and hearing about the exciting things that are going on. Conveyancers, I've got to say, you mustn't be afraid of the future. There is plenty of work for everybody. In the UK, it is not mandatory to use a conveyancer, but there are still hundreds of thousands of conveyancers. Most people are not interested in doing it themselves. They want it to be safe, secure, risk-free. They want it done by a professional who has professional indemnity insurance. They also want to do it in a country which has a robust land registry system. The UK is considered to be, and I'm probably being very controversial here, and I wasn't going to be, one of the safest places to invest in property. And part of that is because we have a robust land registry system. So I am very much in agreement with Graham and Wynne that we must have specialist conveyancers. And in Spain, in Portugal, in Greece, in France, ultimately, as Europe sort of becomes smaller, there will be specialists in each country who can help foreigners with foreign law. And I'm very much looking forward to the presentation on the European Certificate of Succession, because that is going to open up foreign law practice very, very much indeed. Now, because I've got myself engaged in the politics, I've lost my space, but it is very, very exciting. Now, the Land Registry in the UK has spent much time and energy in piloting new methods of using modern technology, of streamlining the registration of conveyancing transactions in England and Wales. And I must thank Joy Bailey for taking the time to explain to me the developments, what has happened and so on, and how the Land Registry has embraced electronic technology. Any inaccuracies in what I say are entirely my own. For example, the Land Registry had a pilot scheme with regard to electronic mortgages. There were 20 such electronic mortgage transactions, but this was a pioneering scheme, and the scheme was not taken up wholeheartedly, mainly because it was a pioneering scheme. It was quite complicated, and it was time-consuming for the conveyancer, and it was not cost-effective. But many, many lessons were learnt from that. The Land Registry therefore decided to concentrate on the electronic registration of title rather than by the method of using paper. In fact, it was operating the government's policy of digital by default. Now, in order to be successful, a digital or electronic method, whatever it is, whether it is conveyancing, succession, whatever, it needs to be simple to use. It needs to save time, it needs to save money, and it must be secure. The Land Registry have launched an electronic document registration system known as EDRS. So, why do the conveyancers in the UK want to join EDRS, Electronic Document Registration Service? Speed. It reduces the average end-to-end processing times through electronic submission of applications. There is a cost and environmental impact. It cuts back on paper, and we all know we need the trees to grow. It reduces costs. There is also an electronic audit trail, and this is the security aspect. All applications will be received and responded to electronically, creating an audit trail that will help to prevent fraud. How does it work? With the new electronic system, you submit applications to change the register electronically and attach scanned copies of supporting documents to your application. When the Land Registry receives your application, it will process it the same way as a paper application, but it sends you the completed documents electronically. What type of applications are currently available through the electronic system? Dealings of, we call it dealings of whole of registered land, and this is where it is truly innovative and helpful. Dealings of land for up to 50 registered titles in one application. And I know that conveyancers in England and Wales have really appreciated the possibility of registration of 50 titles in one, and that has significant time and cost savings. There are other applications that can be made electronically, lease extensions, applications to register a new lease in certain circumstances where what we call the reversionary title is registered. Because in England and Wales we still have, I don't know what the percentage is, we still have land that is not registered. And I'm not going to get into the surveying question, but we have lived for many, many years with registered land and unregistered land. So the Land Registry is very much in line with the government's digital by default policy, while mortgage lenders and conveyancers are proceeding with great caution and are slow to embrace an electronic system. Why is this? Digital and electronic technology is the future, but there are obstacles to a fast introduction of this in England and Wales. The main obstacle is actually a very simple one. It's money. A safe, secure, accurate, robust IT system is very expensive. We've all lived through very difficult times, and the cost-benefit analysis is sometimes difficult to justify when there are so many calls on expenditure. In order for digital and electronic systems to operate, it's also necessary to have a robust, secure and up-to-date data system. So if we look, for example, at the possible introduction of the e-APP, the e-apostille in England and Wales, which the Notary Society of England and Wales is in close contact with the legalisation office to encourage them as to the benefits of this for providing security and cheaper transactions and faster transactions for the future. Ignoring the question of whether the EU will abolish the e-apostille or the apostille for certain matters, the Foreign Commonwealth has set up an e-register because obviously in the UK we deal with the whole world, not just Europe, so we need apostilles for other places outside Europe. the Legalisation Office has selected a relatively simple system. And if you now receive a document from England and Wales with the apostille, if you go to the gov.uk/legalisation website, you will be able to check the authenticity of the apostille. And this helps to provide security and encouragement when you are dealing with foreign documents. However, in order to progress to the next stage of e-app, the Legalisation Office needs to update its database. So cost constraints mean inevitably the introduction of the e-app will be delayed. So you have seen in England and Wales that the Legalisation Office is moving forward on electronic matters. The Land Registry Office is making great strides with matters electronically, and indeed in its business strategy plan, it for 2017 to 18, it has given itself very tough targets. 60% increase in productivity driven by digital by default, 90% of all transactions to be online by 2017-18, and digitisation of local land search data and reduction of the average cost of local land searches by 20%, improving the average speed of service. So it's about money, it's about security, and it's about time. So they say it is better to travel hopefully than to arrive. England and Wales continues to travel with the digital by default, the electronic registration and conveyancing path hopefully. Thank you for your attention.